What's up, everyone? I hope you all have had a happy Thanksgiving. I hope life is treating you well. And 'tis the season. This is my favorite time of year. Everyone seems to have a bit more cheer and joy to them. But yeah, today I wanted to talk to you all about a service that I highly suggest you all add. If you're an exterior cleaner or any service oriented business, highly suggest this highly profitable service, and that is wood restoration and wood staining. Today, I'm going to give you all a brief overview of how we do things. Um, there's more than one way to skin a cat. This is what's worked for us and how we do things. And this is just a brief overview of what you'll need, how we go about explaining it to the client, and the processes and what to look out for, especially in the beginning when you're just breaking into it. So, on the initial, say someone wants an estimate for a cleaning of their fence or deck. We go out there, we say, this will look so good cleaned up. Would you mind an estimate for having it stained and sealed? And we can itemize the estimate, make it separate from the cleaning. And if it's something you want to go with, then we'll go with it. If not, then you have the estimate for future reference. You can just get it clean for now. And a lot of the times, if they decide to go with both, we'll give them a little price cut, but just to give them, the option to have it stained. So that's the initial conversation. So, what to look out for if you're just breaking into this? What to look out for is old wood that has an old stain on it that is peeling really bad. It's one thing if there's a previous stain on it and it's just, kind of weathered, that's no big deal. But if there is stain that is peeling up, be wary of that when you're just in the beginning, because then you get into stripping stain. And let me tell you, especially if you're just starting out, it can be very time consuming. You can underprice yourself significantly. You can be out there for days trying to get it all stripped down. So in the first year, we stuck to doing a lot of raw wood that doesn't have any stain on it, or wood that has a stain on it previously that's just a little bit weathered, but not that peeling. So we actually had one client that the deck was in awful shape, and we told them, we're like, to be honest with you, we're going to need to strip it all down. That's going to be very not cost effective for you guys, because you can kind of gauge where the person's at in terms of money. It's not going to be cost effective for you, but they said, they're like, look, if you can just, we'll pay for you to strip the bad areas, and we don't need it perfect, but just strip the bad areas and we'll go from there. And be careful, because even when the stain looks like it peels off easy in some spots, it's not going to peel off that easy in every spot. But if you do want to get into that, sodium hydroxide, that is a good stripper you can use. Be sure you wear gloves and proper protection. So, leads me to my next point. So you're in the first year, you're looking for wood to stain. If you find one of the decks or fences that reach the criteria rather, of not having peeling stain, and it's raw wood or just a little bit weathered stain on there, it'll need to be sanded. That is the first step before staining. You sand it down. Unless it's newer wood, you will need to sand it. And look, you guys, I'm not the most handsy guy by any means. If I can do this, you can. Get you an orbital sander with some sandpaper and sand the property down. And be sure you price accordingly, because sanding can also be time consuming. But educate the client. It'll make for optimal results. Sometimes they don't want to pay for it. We've done jobs where we didn't sand for them because they didn't want to pay for it. Still looks good, but for optimal results, we always suggest sanding prior to staining. It'll make the stain last longer. It'll look good, more smoother results. And yeah, always sand if you can. And then either that day after sanding it or the day after, stain it. In the beginning, we used Brushes, rollers, and pads. We could have saved hours and hours if we had just done a paint sprayer from the beginning, but it was what was comfortable for me. You know, when you're in your comfort zone in the beginning, you know, before I had done any staining, I had a guy, he wanted his deck stained, and I just kind of on a whim, I was like, yeah, I'll do it, you know. And I did a lot of research and I asked around, and my buddy, thankfully, he said he had done it before. He came out with me, we did the job together, and he gave me the confidence and showed me that it's not that complicated. There's no need to overcomplicate it. So after the sanding, do the staining. Buy some tarp, the stain, of course, some little rolling pans, some tape, brushes, and pads. The paint sprayer is optional in the beginning. In the beginning, the first 10 stainings we did, we stuck to what was comfortable for me personally, and it worked great. It took a really long time, but it worked out phenomenally. Practice on friends and family, and that's with anything in this business. Practice. A lot of the first year, we did a lot of solid stains. Thankfully, to me, they are the easiest. I think they look good. Um, they're hard to mess up. And a lot of times with old weathered wood, when wood has been, 10 years old or more, it's going to have a lot of blemishes. Even when you clean it properly, it'll look really good. And it's kind of a case by case scenario. Sometimes wood, it's going to, those heavy stains that have been on there for a while, they're not going to completely come out. And so with a solid stain or a semi-solid stain, it masks the inconsistencies and blemishes of the wood. So I highly suggest in the first year, try to talk people in to a solid or a semi-solid. And unless it's new wood, then you can do transparent or semi-transparent. I'm just speaking from experience for me. We were able, thankfully, we did probably a little over a dozen stainings our first year. And well, I guess technically the second year, because the first year I stuck to really basic stuff, then the second year staining, and then this is our third full year. But try to talk them into that, the solid or semi-solid, for the blemishes, and educate them. Do a lot of studying. You can ask me a question on what I say in a certain scenario. I'll comment back. I'll let you know. Um, but yeah, so we cover up to 5 gallons of stain, and we list that in the estimate because the thing is, a lot of times you're not going to know how much stain it's going to take. Sometimes you're right on the money. It's going to take 6 gallons. It takes 6 gallons. Sometimes you're a little low. Sometimes you're a little high. Price per gallon of stain is extremely expensive. It's around $50 a gallon. And so you don't want to lose out on that money. So what we do, we say we cover up to 5 gallons. Any extra gallon after that, we will save the receipts for proof of purchase and will be reimbursed at the end of the project. I'm going to show you an example of one of our estimates and how we just explain everything to the clients, and just give you a little walkthrough, and yeah, here we go. So this is an example of one of our estimates. We always provide, of course, you begin with a cleaning, a soft wash cleaning. And on this stuff, you guys educate yourself so you can educate the client, because it goes a long ways in, knowing what you're talking about, from not using high pressure on wood to applying some oxalic acid after the cleaning. On this particular one, we did not mention oxalic acid because they had a previous stain over it, and they wanted a solid color. So on the day of cleaning, we will provide client with pamphlets from 3 different companies to choose stain color from, and it mentions replacing boards and whatnot. Um, the companies we use, we just go to Home Depot, we use Olympic, Bear, or go to Sherwin-Williams, and we get pamphlets from every last one that we give to the client on the day of the cleaning, and it gives them a little time to choose. Once that is chosen, we we buy it for them. And in this one right here, we didn't mention the 5 gallons. We cover up to 5 gallons. One second. Yeah, we didn't mention that here. But just because we knew, it was going to take under 5 gallons and whatnot. But this is kind of just an overview of how we do our estimates for deck restoration. Now, please, you guys, do not hesitate to reach out to me, ask me any questions that you need to know. I'm happy to comment back, I'm happy to answer them. A lot of things in life in general, it's just getting out of your comfort zone, and it can be hard doing that. But once you do, you evolve, you grow, and you end up doing a lot of things that you didn't know you were capable of doing. So, highly suggest adding this service. Please, if you have any questions, comment below. I'll comment back, or any video ideas, and I'll be sure to post one. Have a good week, you guys. Bye.